Welcome to another episode of The Financially Free Investor, where you will learn information and strategies on how to become financially independent by investing in real estate, something that is not taught openly in our society today. Financial freedom matters so you can live a bigger life, retire early, and do what matters most to you. Get ready to hear tried and true methods to becoming financially free with your host, Jordy Clark.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of The Financially Free Investor. Today, I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind a lot lately, and usually if I find myself thinking about the same thing over and over and over again, it's usually like my way of figuring out like, hey, I should probably vocalize this or talk about this or do a podcast about this, in fact, I kept thinking about one specific investor for like 2 weeks. And I finally just called him up today on my way into the office. And I was like, I'm just going to talk to him and see what happens. Anyways, as I'm talking to him, I'm like, man, I should really have him as a guest on the podcast. And, I invited this wonderful investor to be a guest. So he'll be coming on in the next few weeks when we can work out schedules. But the thing I wanted to get to and what's been bouncing around in my head lately is, something that is, I think, very underlooked or underappreciated or just discounted a lot in our lives. And part of the reason I think it is because it's hard to quantify. It's hard to put like an exact value on it. But the thing that's been bouncing around my head a lot lately is, just your relationships matter. And they matter more than I think we give them credit for. And I say that because, when we got started on our journey to financial freedom and we started buying properties, and we started flipping properties, and we started investing very heavily, there were a lot of people who told us not to. Maybe they, I personally believe that they did it out of the best of intentions, that they wanted, obviously, us to not fall flat on our face. They wanted us to do well. All of the reasons they cared for us. So they obviously didn't want us to fail, right? Because I think we all fall in the boat that the people we care for and care about, we want to make sure that they're around for the long haul. And to do that, you can't go bankrupt and you can't do something that is outside of the norm. But that also can pull people back, and it can hold people back and not allow them to get to their ultimate potential. And it's an interesting way of thinking about this. So here's how I want to pose it to you, Mr. or Mrs. Listener. Who you surround yourself is who you become. And that can apply to any area of our life. And a lot of times we put ourselves in places of comfort because, for one reason or another, we don't want to be uncomfortable. We take warm showers because they're comfortable versus cold showers, even though there's actually health benefits to immersing yourself in cold water. Just like there's health benefits to immersing yourself in really hot environments like a sauna for short periods of time. The only reason I bring that up is because it's easy, I think, for our minds to equate temperatures physically, right? But what about the temperature of, if you were to get, we'll say, your 5 closest friends or, couples together if you're married. If you get those 5 couples together and you have a dinner conversation, right? You all go out together, you get one big table and you guys start having a conversation. And I'm asking you this directly or indirectly or however it comes across on this podcast, but are those conversations lifting you up, or are they keeping you where you're at? Or even worse than keeping you where you're at is, are they dragging you down? Do you get excited if you were to think about getting together with this group of 5 other couples, or we'll even call it like 10 colleagues, right? You get together in sort of a more intimate group. Are you being brought up? Are you feeling like, man, I could really stretch myself. I could go out and buy that new car. I could go out and buy a bigger house. I could go out and, do something bigger than what I'm currently doing. Or are you like, hey, I'm good with what we're doing. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting more or wanting to stay where you're at, but there's different phases and different seasons of life. And it's important to kind of take note of where you're at, because you may be in a season of growth when your friends, maybe they're not in that season of growth, and that's okay. Yet maybe you just need to realize, hey, I need to get around something a little different, something to stimulate my mind, something to have different conversations than we've had before. So, I'll give you just a quick little instance of growth experience that, Courtney and I had. And we were sitting around a table with a bunch of other couples for the first time, and the people that were hosting this kind of dinner, it was very fascinating because, we had gone out and we had done like couple dates where we have 2 couples come together, and, we kind of just talk about life and catch up and support and help people. But we've never really sat at a table and had a facilitated conversation. Now, what does that mean? A facilitated conversation is, the couple that was hosting this, they sat down and they kind of already had some ideas of what we could talk about, things that could stimulate us, things that could make us think, and then things that, we got to know each other better, right? So they had a couple of questions where, we were able to open ourselves up a little bit, get a little vulnerable, not in a weird way, but just like a building trust, building rapport. Everyone has crap happen in their life. And, we weren't focusing on the negative, yet we were focusing on, because of that challenge, because of that opportunity that we had, whatever it may be in life, what did you do, and how did that affect you in a positive way, right? Because a lot of the times I think that we focus on stuff that happens to us, and rather than looking at this challenge or whatever obstacle we're facing, rather than looking at it like an obstacle, looking at it like, hey, how did you grow because of this? And hindsight's easy. In looking 2020 in the past, there's stuff that happened to grow you and to stretch you and to help you become a better person, to help you become a better father, a mother, a spouse, a brother, a sister, whatever it may be, if you're just friends, right? And learning to create that space and let someone be vulnerable and work through, well, how did that improve my life, versus, oh yeah, this really bad thing happened, and it really sucks, and everyone commiserates. It's a different experience when you sit there and reflect on how this person chose to show up, and just getting into higher level rooms allows for that kind of discussion, because it's people who want to have that type of discussion, that they're focused on, growing and going other places versus just kind of stagnating. And as we continue to want to progress in this life, I think it's important to get around people that are either where we're getting to, or they're at some point in the journey of where we're getting to, and they're just growing too, right? There's this path of growth, and you can be on it, or you can be on the sidelines watching other people. And the interesting thing is, as we grow our net worth, as we grow our businesses, or as we grow in our relationships, as we grow as parents, whatever it may be, we have an opportunity. And that opportunity is to take what comes and learn from it. If we don't do that, I believe life will continue to give us those circumstances to learn and grow, because life happens for us, not to us. And it's kind of interesting. I don't 100% know that the universe is wired this way or whatnot, but I believe it, at least currently. I watch some people who are in their 50s or 60s, and they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. And we'll go with money because that one's an easy one to quantify, but it could be in really any area of their life. If they continually spend more than they make, they're always in a deficit mode. They're always needing help versus going out and figuring out a way to earn more income, wherever that may be, right? But people get stuck on this habitual treadmill of being passive, being reactive versus proactive. And you have to get out of that and get into proactivity mode if you want to grow your wealth, because you have to make more than you spend. And then with that difference, you have to invest it. You guys, you can't save your way to financial freedom. But if you're just around a bunch of people that's all they're used to, they're just used to going from crisis to crisis to crisis, and they're always broke, and something's always happening, and the world's always beating them down, and those are the conversations you're having, well, that's where you're going to stay. If you get in rooms, though, where people believe that life is happening for you, it's happening to give you the opportunity to grow and stretch yourself and give new problems that you then get to learn how to overcome as you're on this path of life and growth, and just learning how to be a better person and how to show up better for your spouse and your kids and your friends and your brother and everyone in your life. As you grow through that, you become somebody else. And as you become that other person, the interesting thing is more money comes, more freedom comes, and you have opportunities that you wouldn't have had you stood in the misery and just been miserable. So I'm a firm believer, and this is why, in my life, I've opted to help run a couple of real estate investor associations. It's not because I have the extra time, because, I probably could be doing other things with my time. But I believe that, what you put out into the world comes back to you tenfold. Here's the interesting thing. If you're ready to level up, if you're ready to get around a bunch of like-minded people, we've got something in the works, for a couple of different people and a couple different things. But I want to extend this offer to you guys to be able to get out and be the first on this wait list for two different opportunities specifically. And I'll let you know about them later. But, the short version of the story is you're going to be able to have access to the rooms where you have higher level conversations, where people are more interested in growing their net worth and growing their passive income, and just different level conversations than probably what you're around most of the time with your other couple friends, or whatever they may be just negative on work, and we all go through that kind of stuff. Yet the purpose of getting around different people and having different conversations is really powerful. So if you text the word community to 435-291-8670, that's my number. So please text me at 435-291-8670. And if you just text the word community, I'll get you waitlisted for a couple of opportunities we have coming up, where you're going to be able to get in those rooms. This is going to be pretty much invite only. It's going to be very exclusive, where we're going to be having higher level conversations, where you're going to be able to show up, and it's not just for married people, it's for anyone. You're going to be able to show up as a higher level version of yourself wherever you're at in the journey, and we're going to support you and applaud you on this beautiful journey. And you're also going to have the opportunity in that community, right? And I'll give you more details in another podcast. Right now, it's just getting on the wait list for more information. Again, text the word community to 435-291-8670. That's community to 435-291-8670. And then save me in your phone, because ultimately, like, the whole reason I'm doing this podcast, the whole reason I'm taking time to record this is because I want to help you. And this is a way that, rather than going one-on-one to lunches with people, which I totally still do, but my time is finite, right? So this allows me to help more people at a bigger level. It helps me level up. It helps me play the game at a higher level so that I can help. And so that I know, hey, going from this rung to that rung on the ladder of life, like, I can throw my hand down and help other people up, because I've had people throw their hand down and help me up as we're all just grinding through and figuring out this thing called life. So I think it's really important. And if you're listening to this, and if you listen frequently, and specifically, and if you're in the Wasatch Front, anywhere along the Wasatch Front, we're going to have opportunities coming up that I want you to be waitlisted for. So with that being said, guys, even if you don't take advantage of this, just be aware of who you're around and who you are becoming by being around those people. Because if you're on this path of life, you have two choices. There's one path that's just life by default. Life by default, you just sit there and take the waves as they come in, versus life by design. Life by design, you're out there, sure, waves still come in, that are unexpected, yet you're the one that's like, hey, I'm going to ride the waves, right? I'm going to hop on a surfboard and go have a ton of fun, because my two options are I either get pounded by the waves of life, or I can ride the waves of life and I can enjoy it. And I may fall down, and I may, go underwater, and I may have to get back up again. And that's okay, because this ride called life is absolutely beautiful if you let it be. And who you surround yourself is who you become. It really matters on all areas and all levels of your life. So with that being said, guys, I truly hope you take advantage of this. We'll get you more information, but for now, just text the word community to 435-291-8670, and we'll get you waitlisted. With that being said, guys, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, week, month, and life. We'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Financially Free Investor. If you found value in this episode, or know someone who would find value in this information, please share with them, subscribe, and send us a review.